Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm going to share with you the #1 best beginner off-road advice I was ever given. So stay tuned. Okay, I'm going to share with you the #1 best beginner off-road advice I was ever given. And it came from a man who had 40 years of experience of off-roading. And he's been off-roading ever since he was little and his feet could reach the pedals of his dad's truck. And this is it. And it's brilliant because #1, it is brilliant. And #2, a lot of people make this mistake even today, whether they have experience or don't. But I think it's the best advice. Anyway, here it is. And that is the #1 best advice when off-roading for beginners is to be configured before you enter any sort of obstacle or condition. Now, what does that mean? Let me put it this way. When you look at your off-road vehicle, you're going to see a lot of buttons. Center differential lock, four-wheel drive mode, front differential lock, rear differential lock, A-track. Some cars have multi-terrain select with different modes. Some have 4-auto transmission. Some have all sorts of different modes. But in general, every off-road vehicle or all-wheel drive vehicle is going to have all these modes. But here's the thing. Those buttons are not to get you out of trouble. They're to keep you from getting into trouble. What that means is simple. Be configured before. In other words, set your vehicle up in 4-wheel drive, whatever multi-terrain, whatever differential, A-track, traction control, whatever you need to do before you reach the obstacle. Now, I see so many times either beginners, including me when I was a beginner, or people who are experienced, or at least should have experience, and they're still making the same mistakes, which is they go up to an obstacle in the vehicle's default configuration. In other words, not configured for off-roading, whether that's 2-wheel drive, whether that's full-time 4-wheel drive, or whether that's front-wheel drive. Whatever the default street configuration is, they'll enter the obstacle off-road, and then they'll get into trouble. The wheels will start spinning, the dirt will kick up, and then they'll stop, and then this is what they'll do. They'll start hitting buttons, looking down, trying to get out of trouble, trying to find the button that's going to get them out of trouble. And that's the wrong way to do it. And that's what this gentleman told me when I first started. He said, the #1 advice I could give you is be set up before you get into trouble. Those buttons are not there to take you out of trouble. They're there to keep you from getting into trouble. So this may seem like a no-brainer to some people, but I think for many beginners, and again, even people that have been off-roading for a while, don't realize this and may be doing it all wrong. You want to be configured before you get into trouble. It's gotten me through so many situations. Just like a manual transmission, you know, a stick shift, you see a hill coming, you're going to downshift. The car can't see for you. The car can't see that there's a hill coming and you need to downshift. You need to be configured for that situation before you get to the hill. If you get to the hill in a manual transmission and you're in the wrong gear, high or low, it's going to do squirrely things and you're going to have a harder time getting out of it. Same principle applies off-road. If you are in a condition where you see an obstacle coming up ahead and you need to be in 4 low, or 4 high, or all 4 wheels locked, or front differential, or whatever you got going on, multi-terrain select, sand, loose rock, whatever you need to do it beforehand. Too many times we see people going off-road, getting stuck in default street mode, in other words, what the vehicle defaults as normally, and then they'll start pushing buttons, hoping that the vehicle's modes will rescue them. That's not the way it's supposed to happen. So again, simple advice, but absolutely the best beginner off-road advice I think exists. be set up beforehand. Now let's play a fun game and look at some situations, and then you can guess what or how the vehicle should be configured to get through these obstacles.
Okay, let's take a look at these road conditions here, and you can see here that we're on a flat surface, relatively flat. So guess what drive mode we're in, and that's just regular 4 high. 4 high in 4-wheel drive, and that's all you need for this particular road condition. Here's another example of a 4 high road. The road is flat. There are some ups and downs, but you can see we're going relatively flat or fast. So the vehicle's just in 4-wheel drive, and it's just cruising along. If you had any sort of multi-terrain select, you could select gravel, rock, or whatever. If you have differentials that lock, you could lock those too. Here we're about to go up a steep hill here. So before we get to steep hill, it's now in 4 low, not 4 high, 4 low, to get that extra torque to get up the hill. And in this particular car, when you do 4 low, it selects A-track automatically, so the brake locking differentials on all 4 wheels are working as well. So that allows us to get up the hill, the 4 low part, and then if we lose any traction, the A-track will brake the wheel that's losing grip and act like a locking differential and get us through the obstacle, no problem. But the important part, as always, is not how you're configured per se. That's not what this is about. It's about being configured before the obstacle or road conditions that you're about to enter. So we're in 4 low here and has A-track engaged. The ground is relatively firm. So that's all we needed in this situation. Now here's a big steep sandy hill, very, very steep. We're using lots of speed. We got the traction aids off, but we're not going to make it because we're not configured. Because in this case, configuring means taking the air out of the tires. We had the tires at street pressure, which is 32 psi, which is no good for this. So configuration applies to air pressure in your tires as well. Now here you can see it's gravelly and loose, but steep. So we're in 4 low here in drive, so we can get some speed out of it. So we're not in any particular gear, but we are in low range because that was a little bit of a steep climb there. And it's sandy, not too sandy, so it's packed with a little bit of gravel. So 4 low is just fine because you're not going to need a lot of wheel spin. And again, every vehicle is different, so if you're in whatever you're in, all-wheel drive, do what works for you. It's not about, again, how we're configured. It's just be configured for however you need to do it before you reach the obstacle. Here we're about to go down this hill, so we're in low range to keep us from flying down the hill. Alright, this one now is 2N17X, which is a series of steep hill climbs. Now, can you guess what range we're in here, how we're configured? We are configured in not 4 low, but 4 high. Because this is actually long, somewhat sandy hills with ruts, but they're steep, like medium steep, but you need to keep your speed up to keep going. So we're actually in 4 high, which in this vehicle, with 4-wheel drive, so 4 high, well I guess, yeah, that's the same thing. So 4 high, and this does not engage A-track. Instead, it engages the less aggressive system, which is Toyota calls track, or TRAC. And that's like A-track, but not as aggressive. So basically it allows wheel spin. And that allows for great traction on conditions such as these, where to get up these hills, you want the speed and you want some wheel spin when it loses traction. You don't want it to immediately send power to the other wheel. You want some wheel spin. So that's what track does. And this car defaults to track when you're in 4 high. Not A-track, track. So in these conditions, that's what worked for us. Again, in your vehicle, You may have a different name for it. It may be 4Auto that works for you. If you're an all-wheel drive, you may just have to hit the multi-terrain select to loose sand or sand, rock, gravel, whatever. The point is, do it before you get to this part, these steep, fast hill climbs, and you're going to be a-okay. If we did not configure this properly, we wouldn't have just sailed up the hill like you just saw. We would have got trapped halfway through, and we would have started digging a hole, getting into trouble, and having to back out the hill. So the key is the configuration beforehand. So here you can see that we're going to need to get some speed going here to make it up this hill climb, and we're going to basically in 4 high gun it with a mild traction control that allows some wheel spin, and up she goes. So if we weren't configured, it's going to be a lot more troublesome. So it really helps to be configured beforehand. Can't say it enough. So this next obstacle is your classic 4 low condition. Big deep ruts. The ground is firm, so we don't need any wheels slipping. So this is 4 low, which engages the A track, which is like a brake locking differential. So when you see the wheel go in the air here, you're not going to see any forward momentum loss. It just climbs up the hill. In some vehicles, you may have to enter the rock mode to get that aggressive type of traction aid when the ground is firm, but you're going to be climbing steep ruts, steep obstacles with firm ground. So again, 4 low with A-track engaged, and it makes it look easy. And that's simply because we're configured beforehand. That's the only secret here.
All right, so as we wrap this up, I want to just press on one important point, and that is, I'm not trying to tell you what drive mode you should put your car in, whether that's 4-wheel drive or whatever multi-terrain select or whatever you're going to do with your differentials and your traction control for whatever situation. You'll learn that as you go, and that's unique to what you're seeing and what your vehicle has. It's not about me telling you what mode to put it in. The important part is to have it in a mode that helps you before you reach your obstacle or your road condition. That's it. That's the best advice I've ever been given off-road, and I hope it helps you, because it helped me. I didn't know this. So I would go like a lot of people you see online and get trapped and then start pushing buttons for help. So hopefully this will help you. If you found this video helpful, please consider hitting like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.